Welcome to Nonprofit Network, powered by Stokes Auction Group. We are a group of fundraising professionals that specialize in raising funds to improve communities of all sizes.
He is funny as hell.
He's funny as hell.
Not as funny as us, though.
Okay, let's do this.
Hello and welcome to the Nonprofit Network, powered by Stokes Auction Group. My name is Shelby Stokes.
Kelly Schoenfeld.
Hey, Paulie Schoenfeld, good afternoon.
I didn't do your finger. You always do your finger.
Are
Fundraiser fanatics.
Fundraiser fanatics.
Sponsored by Spider-Man.
I was going to say, that was a Spider-Man.
We're thwipping all day, right? You know what they say?
Sponsored by Wonder Woman.
Here we come to save the day.
Okay, sir it.
And
Seriously.
Pringles.
I want Pringles. The hyperbolic
yeah.
shake of
geez.
Pringles.
Bring
Sponsored to you by the hyperbolic shake.
Yeah.
Or shape.
Hyperbolic shake. Ooh, that sounds like an MLM.
It's a dance. Isn't there a
That's
song?
not a pyramid scheme, but there is one person on top.
But
And
there
there's
is.
a team below that.
There's
And there's a
like
team
four
below
of them.
that. Yeah.
But it's not a pyramid scheme.
No, it's not. Hey,
If everybody gives you $1, you ever heard that scheme?
You have more
Did you
dollars.
guys hear that scheme?
the-
That was out here
we
for
were,
a while. Do you
we
remember
were on
that?
the scheme.
Everybody gives you $1.
Everybody,
Okay.
you give $1
Right.
to everybody you know or something, and they all send you $1, and everybody becomes multimillionaire.
How
It's
does
the
that
dumbest
work?
thing. I don't know,
And
but
then
it's
the
had
people
to
under
do with
them-
$1.
The people under them send them $1.
Mm-hmm.
And then each one of these 5 people get 5 people under them, and they send $5. So
I think
starts
it's a
at the bottom.
hyperbolic scheme.
If you haven't
Yeah.
noticed, we're like
Sounds
troubleshooting our own retirement plans, and this is the top of the
Sounds
list.
like it.
This is the front runner of what we're going to do. So when we retire,
Shelby's
everyone
actually
send us a memo.
our plan. He's going to run the company, and we're going to suck
Did you
money out
did you
of
do
it.
that just in?
That's my plan C, by the way.
Thanks for hanging out with us. Welcome to the podcast where we talk about what's trending in the nonprofit space, what's going on in our worlds. The fundraiser fanatics are here. We are fundraising enthusiasts that talk about charity auctions and what's going on in the world of benefit auctions specifically.
Yeah, and hey, check out our Facebook as well as our Instagram. We are posting on there and trying to be present. So if you get a
Miss-
chance, go ahead. You'll find this
Yeah.
on Facebook, obviously, but yeah.
Miss
And there's
Kelly
a lot of material
Scheinfeld.
there because
Yeah.
we
lot.
got a lot going on.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Kelly's
Kelly's
doing
been
a
on
great
it.
job. She's on it.
She is inserting herself.
She and she's doing,
doing
a
it.
heck
I'm
of a
posting
job.
every day for
Are-
like 15
Is
days
this
now.
13 days or you're
I think
15?
this is 14.
You know, guys, yesterday we were at 12
21.
and today we're at 15. So I don't
Wait.
know where the math is coming from here, but
Were
I
we at
lean
12
in,
yesterday?
baby. Lean in.
Maybe it is 13. It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. What matters is that you're
Every
here
day.
with us to listen to us talk about
2 weeks.
our weekends. So this weekend I was at a very small fundraising event, and essentially what it was individuals from the community, mainly faculty staff of public schools, coming to lift up a scholarship type program. And we walked in the room and we're like, this is awesome. There's like 300 people here. And then you start to realize, wait, a lot of these people are teachers and they are here because they want to be supporting scholarships, but do they have a vested interest in what we're doing? And
Which
that-
hats off to all the
I mean,
teachers. Holy
agreed.
cow, right?
married one. That's how much I like
and
them.
I had one.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
didn't know she was a teacher when I had her, obviously. But I mean,
But it did
maybe-
factor in.
It did factor in because
yes.
I do believe, halfway through labor, I heard her reading a book in there, and I was getting frustrated,
Yeah.
thinking, "What are you doing, child? Come out, wherever
Moby
you
Dick will be
are."
here when you come out.
Yeah.
Right. You can read later.
You can read later, much later.
Colors and shapes come later. But yeah, I mean, it was cool to see the community come together, especially after a 3-year hiatus, which, by the way, 3 years since COVID started, like today is
Almost
kind of
to
the
the
day.
day.
Yeah, almost to the
well,
day.
Saturday,
Wow.
it was Saturday, I believe, was COVID-19 day.
Oh, is that right?
I believe so,
Oh.
because you go on, which, by the way, there's so many national days out there. There's a National
I'd
Billy
rather
Day and a
have a
National...
Day than
So,
3 years.
Yeah,
like,
true.
let's be real.
But
yeah.
it was, I believe, Saturday was COVID Day.
Man, I believe it. So, I mean,
That's
like,
amazing.
we literally sat in our office and watched the events just fall apart in 1 week.
Mm-hmm.
And actually have the schedule printed out and pinned to my desk, and it's exactly 3 years ago. So, kind of crazy. Yeah, I should have showed you guys on
Whoa.
Monday. But, yeah, it was pretty neat. Anyway, so the fundraiser I was at, it was this group of people that hadn't really been back together in 3 whole years to do this. So, like, the energy was good. And I'm like, this is going to be awesome. It was their first time using software to bid on the silent auction items. It went really well. The items were selling well. I'm like, we're going to have a great live auction. Then we got to the live auction and realized that maybe the items that we had in store were not the best for the demographic that we had. In a room full of teachers, a lot of people already have childcare lined up. We had 2 childcare type certificates that were valid for a before and after school program, and the money just wasn't there. Like, the traction wasn't there. Anything that was like weekend or staycation related did very well considering. And then also we sold one of those flat stone grills, which was also pretty
Did you
sought
bid
after.
on that?
Oh,
My wife did.
those are like the hottest thing right now.
Yeah,
aren't
I
they?
have one.
Yeah.
I
They
love
have been
it.
for a while.
Yeah. Yeah, they're pretty
What are
awesome.
they called again?
They're
Ironstone grill.
they're
or
flat. They're flat stones.
I think, flat stone, right?
No,
Oh, man.
that's a flat grill.
It always reminds me of the
something
hibachi.
stone.
Something stone. Firestone? No, that's a tire.
That's
Don't think of it.
It's in the back there. What
Black
is it?
stone.
Blackstone. It's
There
called
it is.
a blackstone.
That's it. It's
Blackstone.
Blackstone.
Manifested it.
Woo!
You said it.
Oh,
So, yeah, I mean, I had a pretty good weekend. It was a little bit bumpy, but it started off on Friday and led into a good weekend. So, yeah, it was fun.
cool. What about you, Paul?
I was at an event that raises money for developmentally challenged disabled kids from basically birth till 10. There was about 400 people in the room. It's a heavy subject, but this group is so solid. I mean, this was their 29th annual gala. Gala?
Gayla?
We had that conversation already.
We did last week.
Gala? Yeah. So it's very well established, very solid. The leadership is second to none. The items were fantastic. We had a lot of energy in the room. We had a bit of a hiccup starting. We had issues with the credit card machines. So we had a line of people at registration that was probably 75 yards long. Yeah, so that...
And everybody panic now.
Yeah, so we they put a team together and started walking out there to the people and starting to get them registered out there, which was pretty cool. So it kind of moved everything back exactly 30 minutes, which is the reason why we finished after 10, which clearly is the reason. But I don't think it had any effect.
Yeah.
Really, I think people were there and ready. We had 23 items. 10 of them were new, fresh, never before seen items to this event.
That's pretty cool.
And we just came out of the gate running. I had a great MC. I had a great crew of bid spotters. And we set that energy level, pretty high. And they responded to us. And we kept that energy all the way through to the very end.
That's awesome.
Every single item except one brought at least 150%, if not 200% of value.
Yeah, that's
Every
awesome.
one of them.
That's a good night, man. That's
Right.
a good night. And hats off to that team for
Yeah.
continually freshening up those items.
That is so
Because,
critical, I think.
I mean, that the organization you're talking about has been around for a handful of years, and you obviously, you often don't see that kind of staying power and refresh on items when organizations run their fundraising events for that long.
Yeah.
Like how many, no offense, but Catholic schools do you walk into where you're like, oh, we're selling the same package that we've sold for the last 15
Same
years.
parking spots.
You know what I
same
mean?
this, same
So-
that. Yeah.
Parking
Props to
spot,
that
dinner
team.
with the father,
Yeah.
play croquet with the father, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So that's really cool. I'm glad you had a good night. And that organization is like top tier. Like that is such a cool organization. Just lift up those children and get them on, like give them the tools they need to succeed. Like that's a really cool organization.
It absolutely
I'm glad
is.
it went
And I
well.
was able to go there and see it firsthand. I was there years ago, but I got to go see it again, and there's been a lot of changes since. Since then, now they have 4 campuses. Wow. So they're growing.
That's
Yeah.
crazy.
And they have a big budget, and people know that, and they give all they can. They absolutely give all they can, and they're happy to do so. People are smiling, having fun. I would say this year was probably a little bit more rowdy than years past, and maybe there's a reason why.
Yeah.
We just talked about the last few
Really?
years.
Yeah.
Right.
So
For sure.
I was lucky to be a part of it. Super fun, and I'm very, very happy for them.
I've been in line for 20 minutes. Get us around.
Yeah, but I
yeah.
don't care.
Start doing the
Just give us a
cocktails.
round.
Start doing the cocktails.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and with your registration kind of bumps in the road, it's good to have a team there that can actually weather that storm, because it sounds like that was a little bit of there were some moments where you're like, okay, we're gonna have to get through this, and
Right.
team that is not as equipped or skilled would have some trouble.
Oh my
Well,
gosh,
and
right?
standing in line for a long time does not tee your guests up to spend money.
True story.
Because their very first experience is a negative one because
Yeah.
I'm standing here in line and where's
Yeah.
my champagne kind of thing, right?
Yeah,
So
exactly. I came here
Yeah.
to have a good time.
But as we talked about last week in our pod was dealing with adversity.
Mm-hmm.
Things are going to happen.
Cool.
Show must go on.
Yep.
So they came up with a plan, just get people through registration because it was the credit card machines that went down.
Oh no.
So we're not going to take our credit cards now. And that sped everything up
Mhm.
times
Smart.
10, right?
Yeah.
So then what they said was, because we had a mobile bidding site, they asked everybody, the MC came out in his opening announcement and said, hey, go into the notes section of the bidding site and put in your credit card number there, and that'll get it to us.
That's
It's a
brilliant.
great idea.
It's a great idea.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Brilliant idea.
Yeah.
Don't worry about the
Man.
card. Just at some point before you go home, give us your credit card. Type it in. We'll get it. We'll put it in our records.
Or we will
Yeah.
find you.
Or we will
We
find
will
you.
find
Yeah.
you. Yes. So that was a great idea. Dealing with adversity, guys.
Yeah, that's awesome. I was actually, me and my dude were at an incredible organization, and it's being, we don't talk about the organizations we serve on this podcast because it's, we don't necessarily think that we should. However, today I'm going to give their name
Uh-oh.
because this is a small organization that is building, and it affects all of us really because we live in communities with these people, and it was blind athletes,
Oh, wow.
and it was incredible, and it was very small group. It was their first year doing one here. They do them in other places, but some of the statistics that they shared were actually a little bit heart-stopping for my husband and myself, which told me I need to send that message out to, because like my father and mother both have macular degeneration, my dad especially, and he gets shots in his eyes, and those doctors that are doing that weren't, we need to involve more people, and we help all these organizations, right? We're hired to do it, we're honored to do it, but every now and then one gets a hold of you where you're like, I need to put the word out for them.
Yeah.
And I need to help them grow this. And it's been a long time that we've been able to be a part of a 100-person auction and want to take it to a 500-person auction. It was 100 people, and it was 100 beautiful people. That their souls were amazing. The stories were incredible.
So can I dive a little deeper on that? Because I read blind athletes. I know what both those words mean, but are they working with individuals that are like born blind? All the above.
All the
athletes
above.
that become blind,
Yes,
I imagine?
yes, it is to help them navigate, number one, through life. Number two, there was one gal there that has been blind 8 years. She's probably, mid to early 40s. And,
Wow.
Oh,
and yeah, so it's all people, and they go snowshoeing, and they go, they take these people and show them that there is life after blindness, and this is what we do. And
that's
it is awesome.
awesome.
It is
Well, because,
awesome.
I mean,
and
I can only begin to imagine, like, not having sight now that I'm an adult. If you're a child, you are born with that.
You're born
and you
that,
learn
yeah.
to work within that confine. But to be an adult that eventually becomes blind at the young age of 40 that's a life changer.
It is a
Like,
life changer,
everything
but
changes.
these people spoke, and again, we don't talk about organizations much, but I personally, if I get in trouble for it, I'm fine with that. The people in charge are incredible. They have the right dream in place. They know they need to make some changes in their auction. They know that we want to take it to the next level,
That's cool.
and can, with some help. I think that in a smaller group, sometimes, your packages are harder because
Right.
you've got a very, out of your 100 people, you're maybe going to have 20 or 30 givers there, right? So you got to really
statistically, yeah.
yeah.
20 to 30%.
And to be honest with you, for a 100-person auction, it did very well. Everybody spent some money there, and they have huge support from some big corporate donors. And so they're growing that. So I would just say, and again, you probably won't hear me mention organizations very often because we're not supposed to, but
Well, I mean, we've just decided not to, right?
Yeah.
And like it's
just
it's
for
a,
their protection.
well, it's
or
a personal
for,
choice,
it
right?
is.
And like we get up here and we want to share like constructive criticism, and what we don't want to do is say, "Hey, did you go to ABC Gala because it was a
Right.
mess?" Right?
Yeah.
Like we don't want to do
Yeah,
that on this
Ever.
podcast. That's not our goal.
Ever.
We don't want to badmouth people, but we do want to share like constructive criticism on, okay, if you're in this scenario, here's how we would improve it. So by doing so, we've just chosen to kind of keep
Yeah.
names of organizations to ourselves.
Yeah.
And that's
But
nothing
this is a
personal,
neat
yeah.
one. I mean, they're all neat. They're all special, but these people lose
Yeah.
their sight halfway
and
through their life.
Well, and support
and
blind athletes, right? I mean,
support
that is
it.
not like
You get a
very
chance.
well. It's not a mainstream,
No,
organized. Like if you were to say list 10 nonprofits to
you're not
anybody
going to
off the
put that
street,
one on there.
blind athletes, I imagine, would not be in a lot of people's top 10s.
Yeah.
Right. So I mean, I
Fair
think
to
it's
say.
cool that we
Yeah.
spotlight it.
It's in
Yeah.
my top 10
Yeah.
now.
I love that. I
Yeah,
love
it's
that.
in my top 10. So,
And more power like to organizations. Like what we're finding is like there are these niches in the world that are trying to expand their mission to other cities. It came to our area for the 1st
Mhm.
time, and another markets. It's been
it's doing very well.
very
Yeah,
well.
Yeah,
and
that's
it will
right.
it will
Starting
continue
something
to
off is
grow
cool.
here.
Yeah.
Once they get the right things in
Yeah.
place, and the person that they have in leading the way is
Yeah.
the Shaziz.
Yeah.
Just let me say I love her.
And I would say, kind of closing this portion of the night where we've all talked about our weekends, we truly enjoy what we do, and every
Mhm.
time we come back after a weekend of helping the community, we actually talk about, best practices and how to improve. And I think all three of these organizations and fundraising events could have improved on something. I know in my case, audience development really comes to mind. Having the right individuals in the room that can actually put forth a financial contribution to the mission is really essential to seeing that success.
Agreed.
I was lucky in the room I was in because it was in a school, a public school. Therefore, your overhead may not be as high as it is for other organizations, right? You're not renting out a fancy ballroom, and the catering team was all. It was a school adjacent program for the catering. But long story short, like if you really want this to be a fundraising event and that's your goal, then you need to find individuals in the community that are going to lift up and spend money. And
As
I
well
think
as put the appropriate packages together for
true
that.
story. Well, I mean, there was probably 5 business owners in the room, and all 5 of those business owners bought items.
Yeah.
Like they were all buying items, some live, some fun and neat. So what you saw in that room was like, okay, here are the individuals that are here to sponsor and support as businesses, and they're doing the lifting. So now I challenge that community to go out and kind of find other businesses or people that want to help the school district and have them come to this event and be a part of it, because that's the only way it's going to grow.
Yeah.
Like trying to sell to school faculty, love them to death, it's just not going to be a huge financial success.
And that's one of the things that we at Stokes Auction Group try to do is, even if you already are at a big number, we want to grow that with you. We want to, when we are done with a night, what we do is we sit back and we do hyper criticize it, because we want it to just get better. Even the greatest ones, right? There's always room for more. And what you get here is how many auctions would you say you do a year-ish?
30, 25.
147.
Well, I do
No,
230.
we're probably about 30.
Yeah, so we're all right around there.
30 to 40, depending
So
on the
you
year.
get when you get him 30 other auctions that ideas came from, and that's that group mentality that we have, and it's real, right?
It
It's
is.
real. You get together. We talk about it all the time. What happened at yours? What happened at yours? What happened at mine? Why didn't they do this? Could they do this? And every one of them become better because they get to pick from lots of other auctions ideas.
Oh, yeah.
and
You
think-
take experiences from each one.
Yeah.
I think it's really interesting that you had that experience Friday
Mhm.
based on, one of our recent podcasts about audience development.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, boom, now you live it
Mhm.
and bless the hearts of the teachers, right? But I'm probably speaking out of turn here, but do they have the wherewithal?
You
or
know,
they do have,
I
or is it the desire?
being married to a teacher, I know that I'm my wife is compensated, and teachers do some amazing work. They should be compensated more, but there's room to kind of work within your means and still support organizations that you choose to as a teacher. And I think that what I really saw was, you got to get individuals that are there for the right reasons. And I think some of those people were there as teachers of students who were involved in the running of the of the night. So like, hey, we're gonna go
Oh, I
because our
see.
class is involved and we want to support so and so. So
Gotcha.
I just don't think that they have the disposable income to throw it at a
Well, and yeah, and
Ju-
there,
just
So
yeah.
it boils
What's the
down
point
to
there? Yeah,
financial.
yeah, for
Fair
sure.
to say?
For sure, yeah.
Yeah.
But I think that like there's potential there in that it can continue to grow. And in this community specifically, it got hit really hard by COVID.
Oh, boy.
Like there are some communities out there that really got hit more significantly than others. And we've lived it, and this is one of them. So I'm going to chalk it up to a rebuilding year and move forward. But
And I think that's very positive. I think
Uh-huh.
if you do go about it that way, that you are at the you're at the grassroots of starting something, even though it's been going on for years. All of these auctions that are coming back together are in fact brand new auctions,
Yeah.
because everything has been sitting,
yeah.
Good point.
and now they're all new.
Yeah.
They're all new.
And I think that, we can kind of circle back to the event you were at, Paul. But, essentially, I think that the most impressive thing that I've heard from your example this weekend was that you have an organization that has a tenure of 20 plus years.
29.
30, right?
30
years. And they're continually like reinventing themselves to make it a new event and re-energizing that room. Talk a little bit about
Super
that.
Consistently.
Yeah.
Right. They have figured out that formula. And we've been pitching that for years.
Yeah. Yeah.
You brought up the returning parking spot, or the, let's get rid of this item because we've been doing it for 5 or 6 years, or everybody knows this one's going to be a double.
Mm-hmm.
We always encourage, maybe pull that out for a year or two, but we always say continue to get new, fresh items and new elements at your auction. That is precisely what they do.
Yeah.
And they go out and they have about 5 or 6 very strong committees. They have a board of directors that is second to none, who are very active, very prominent in their community. They can get it done.
Mm-hmm.
But that has taken a long time for those relationships to be forged, right? And then they have found a way to be creative. Here's the items that we got for you. Now you guys massage them and work your magic and put packages together like we've been talking about in our educational series. And they have figured out, and I think one other thing that's very important is they encourage a lot of feedback from their attendees. Tell us what you guys think.
So that's what you
Give
want.
us, oh my gosh, they're the best source of information that you could possibly ask for, is the people that are in the audience. And third, I think what was probably most impressive this year was that typically, I'm not sure if you do this, but you probably do, Mark does too. It's like before we start, we say, with a show of hands, how many people have never been to this event before?
Yep.
And I swear we had about 400 people in the room, and there were 100 hands in the air.
Wow.
That's
That's
awesome.
25%, right?
Yeah, that's
That's
good.
cool.
That's
And
really good.
I'm going off of my memory here, but my guess I could say with relative confidence is 50% of those 100 were bidding.
That's awesome.
That's cool. Well done.
That is impressive. It's like a textbook lesson, fundraising 101,
Yeah.
audience development.
Yeah, and like, what we didn't want to do is come in and do audience development again. But I think like this weekend is a perfect example.
Yeah,
of,
we all had experience with it.
well,
We did.
I mean, I think you kind of also see like the longevity and life of an event, right? Yours was just starting first year. Paul's 30-year tenure. Mine's somewhere in the middle, right? And you see like the audience development and the item pairing with that audience has to consistently change to see that longevity of 30 years. So it's just kind of neat to kind of bring it all back to really audience development and item selection and how those work together to make a good fundraising event.
And be okay with getting rid of the doubles for a year. You know, if you've had X amount of doubles for 15 years and everybody knows it's going to double, So then people hang back and they wait, kill it for a year and have one and shock them. It will reinstigate that feeling of, there might only be one.
It will increase demand.
It'll increase demand. That's what I was looking for. I was looking for the word demand.
And we can,
I just kept nodding my mouth.
Nailed it.
we can understand why you'd be apprehensive into holding back that $10,000 item 5,000 times 2, right? Well, that's $10,000. That's a big part of it. Yeah, we get it. But you know what? If you hold that off for a year, a season or two, it could come 10 grand each. Could be a double.
Yes.
It could be 20 grand.
Because you have been watching the parking spots decline.
Yeah.
You go on a small, and they're, they used to be $5,000. Now they're $1,500, $2,500. You've seen that. Not in all organizations, but, it's not like it used to be. 3 spots here, 2 spots there, or that 5, 10, 15, 5, 10, 15. Right. It's like, and okay, you get one.
And those were.
And we have 2 more. So if you want one, tell them at checkout. Right? That's kind of where it's at. And you got to make sure that if you're going to do that, you have a strong group of people there to buy it.
Is there another way? Let's say you were an organization. I'm going to throw another curveball at you guys. This just came to my mind. Let's say this organization, like the Catholic schools that we do, we've been selling the parking spot for 20 years, probably 15 years, right? Is there another way that you can think of right at the top of your head? Okay, we're not going to sell that in a live auction. How else could we sell that and still make money for the church or the school?
Well, if you're in a Catholic situation, if it's a Catholic school or a Christian school, I mean, you could put it at the school.
Raffle it. $100 a ticket.
Could raffle
Everybody buys a ticket. That could be $20,000.
That could work.
Yeah.
It depends. How many active parents do you have that are, you've got your senior high and your junior high. Maybe instead of just making it a parking spot, make it, bring it down to 2 each instead of 3 and 3 or whatever, or just take it down to the singles for 1 year.
Oh, I see.
And maybe
take the double away.
Yeah, and maybe you get greeted by the father. The father is a big deal. So you get greeted by the father every morning. Not all kids might want that, but a lot of the parents
would want that. I see the first period, Shelby.
We're going to buy. Father is going to meet you at your car and walk you to school.
That's right.
Yeah,
that's
the
right.
parents would be all over that. Kids would be like, I ain't driving my car.
Cool. Well, thank you so much for spending this time with us. Really appreciate you guys listening or watching wherever you are. Video versions available on YouTube. You can check out our Facebook. If you're listening on a podcatcher, a 5-star rating would be so appreciated.
Did you feel like that was some sort of a hook he just gave us? Like, did you feel a cane around your neck as he's pulling us off stage right now?
Yeah.
I kind of feel a hook.
We're coming in for a landing.
We're coming in. Here we go.
Shoot us an email if you want to submit a question or whatever. We're also going to do a Q&A next week. We may move it back to 2 o'clock or may push it to Thursday. More to come on that. But feel free to join us live next week where we'll be answering some questions with tips and answers.
Tips and answers. I love that. Instead of questions and answers, tips and answers. And make sure you check out the Ivan Files.
That's right.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. The Ivan Files, hot on YouTube.
I mean, we're going all over the place today.
Hey, you guys, thanks for joining us. Be good to yourself and the people around you.
Go. Be courageous.
And go do good. Let's raise some money, y'all.
He said slurp.
Just
slurp.
Bye.
Bye, man.